Hey, folks. How much time do you spend each day thinking about the customers of the platform that you're building? I'm willing to wager that a number of you are thinking about performance and reliability, which are undeniably crucial factors for the customer experience. But today I aim to delve deeper into our platform experience, or DX. So, in a real way, we platform engineers are all gardeners working on our own little plot of land. We keep our garden to ourselves. We don't really share the fruits with others. But what if there's a way And what if there's value in enabling and empowering external customers by providing them with the tools that they can use to improve their work? To shift that mindset, let's explore what needs to change in terms of how we think and how we work and how we see our role as engineers. So, my name's Tim Chipperfield, and I'm an engineering manager and a very amateur gardener. I work at Thinkific, and we're a multi-tenanted learning management system that helps creator educators create, market, and sell their own learning products. I'm going to show you how we, as a platform engineering team, transformed our internal GraphQL API into an impactful product for our organization so that others could enjoy the fruits and flowers that we were producing. So, sorry for all the gardening analogies today, but I've been getting my garden ready for spring and summer, and these are the kind of thoughts that I'm cultivating right now. And here's a picture of my work in progress garden as it stands today. So here's the problem that we wanted to solve. Thinkific's creators and partners desired an API experience with new forms of customization, flexibility, and control over their data. At the same time, we were a company was moving towards an API first approach. We were internally transforming the way that we built products by shifting to a federated GraphQL API. We already had a public REST API, but it didn't keep up with the fast-paced innovation of our product and the needs of our customers. That's when our team decided to roll out a new public GraphQL API that tied together that API first strategy, and it increased our competitiveness over and above that REST offering. Thing was, it felt like we were in uncharted territory for our team. We were kind of like the roots underneath the garden, focused on an internal support and carrying that massive workload that comes with managing a platform ecosystem. As a platform team, we were fine building for developers who are, in most cases, our primary customers, but thinking about end users directly, that was like discovering a whole new way of gardening. So, to tackle this new challenge, it was clear that we needed to shift our perspective. Thankfully, we weren't in this alone. We reached out to the team who really understood our customers, our solutions engineers. These folks specialize in designing and implementing tech solutions, solving particular problems for customers. They really get what our customers are struggling with, especially when it comes to integrating with our stuff. By getting on calls with customers, which is something totally new for our platform folks, we started to see what mattered most. We discovered opportunities to offer value by providing access to data that wasn't available through our existing REST API, and finding new ways to nourish our growing plantings, our data. So, for example, one thing I learned off the bat was how impactful a tiny change could be for our creators. So, by allowing creators to mutate a simple status boolean for their product, customers could now choose their course registration uh, and make it close at a specific time. They could publish their products on a schedule, and they could limit seats for a course. So, our takeaway here was find allies who know your customers and collaborate with them to learn more about your end users. So, what we were a bit more confident in was building technology. We knew that we needed to have a traffic limiting solution that considered the complexity of an API request, and that we needed a new form of authentication for the new API. Additionally, there were various security and observability measures that we knew that we needed to account for as well. But even with the quick wins for our customers and having the technical measures in place to prevent abuse, did we have a strategy that would set us up for long term success? To continually deliver value to our customers? No. I first heard a federated graph described as a marketplace by Apollo's CTO, Matt Bergalis, in 2023. So I want you to imagine a federated graph is a bustling marketplace with a supply side and a demand side. Marketplaces are a special kind of platform. They bring together different kinds of users with complementary needs. On the demand side for a federated graph, we have dependent internal apps, clients, services, external app developers, and public API consumers. They all need access to a Supergraph's data, like the people who benefit from the fruits of our garden. There are also the brilliant minds writing the schema, developing subgraphs, and architecting the foundation of the dataset forming the supply side. So marketplaces can be incredibly valuable, but they're also tricky to get right. Our biggest challenge, though, was scalability. It's not helpful if we sell tickets to our beautiful garden, but we reach capacity in no time. We needed enough goods to sell, which for us translates to more data. Initially at Thinkific, we had a few teams building and consuming our unified API to support a variety of client applications. However, this wasn't enough. We were going to need a lot more supply to ensure diversity and richness of our produce. But how could we incentivize that supply side to build with our federated graph? We decided that we needed to leverage the old adage of you can't manage what you can't measure. We put out a survey for our R&D teams asking them for feedback on our federated API. We needed to know which parts of our garden needed attention. Was it easy to find documentation? Was it slowing down feature development or speeding it up? And other questions. What our team found was that some of our internal teams were more resistant to change than others. We gained a ton of insights from this survey, including if you want to start measuring something that's built for other people, start by asking them questions. So, one example piece of feedback was I sometimes wonder if we're doing it right from a unified graph perspective. Like, should we be exposing this value in this way? Does it already exist somewhere else? Clearly, though, we had resistance to overcome. Our internal teams were reluctant to use the federated graph. They were either worried that it would take them longer to deliver features, or they were intimidated by the complexity of a federated graph. We knew that we needed to be marketers here, even for our own Thinkific R&D team. So the next thing we did, we released internal educational blog posts every month. The idea was to increase awareness and build adoption for the API. So we targeted these posts towards the reasons that the detractors had given for not building with the APIs in the federated graph. By spreading these seeds of knowledge, we were encouraging that supply-side growth in new areas. At the same time, we started developing a list of in-flight and future API initiatives per team in the company, so we could track progress, monitor the health and expansion of our garden closely. By leveraging our data and our ability to communicate, we managed to get buy-in to build with a federated graph. Within the quarter, 2 new teams had committed to building new features in our federated graph, signaling new growth and vitality within our garden. So our takeaway here was that we should strive to learn more about internal consumers and builders, and then over-communicate with those folks. While we were starting to make inroads, challenges kept coming up that were threatening to derail the project. Misalignment, lack of motivation to build with a graph, and even a lack of business momentum threatened deprioritization. The graph was looking less maintainable as the project grew. There were many landscape architects, produce specialists, and gardeners who all had differing opinions on the importance of selling access to the garden. If we didn't get this right, we might not ship at all. So our solution was to look at each of the different information needs from each group and tailor our communication to what they needed. So I already spoke about internal developers. Having them on board was huge. But I haven't mentioned engineering leads and product managers. These folks were like the architects and planners of the garden, deciding the layout and determining which new species could be introduced. They needed to grasp the broader vision, how expanding our garden could help their teams reach their strategic goals. Convincing them required showing them that building with a unified graph would not slow down their workflows and that it was aligned with their overall technical and business strategy. There's also engineering and product leadership. We needed to paint a bigger picture than for the frontline managers. We needed to communicate overall technical value and the value of the data we'd now be shipping to our customers. Then the C suite, the landlords of the garden. With these folks, we needed to show the potential to bolster the bottom line. We prepared to show them a vision of the future where our API ecosystem was attracting more customers and we were able to make more money off this new API product. By providing the right tailored communication to each of these groups, we ensured that we were given the support we needed to ship the API. Our takeaway here was don't forget to think about each of your important stakeholders and ensure that you're building influence with those folks. So, by getting close to our customers and building out our supply side of data, we developed fertile soil for our garden. As our API grew, we needed to influence and build relationships and understanding with all of our stakeholders. Just like any garden's ecosystem, balancing that external focus with the needs of our internal API users became a delicate but vital equilibrium. So our journey through expansion and enrichment of our API taught us invaluable lessons about collaboration, balance, and growth. We needed to be flexible with our culture and adopt a growth mindset so we could transform ourselves to deliver this. Fundamentally, we learned that the secret API garden that we had for ourselves could be opened up for others to enjoy. We've now shipped our new federated API to customers. Our first sales conversions based on this API offering were an exciting testament to what we're building. So before I go, I want to leave you with this question. Do you have an opportunity to open up your garden to others? And what would you share? And what would you need to do in order to make that possible? Thanks for joining me today. I'd love to connect with you and hear what you're working on and answer any questions you have. I'm on LinkedIn.